What's up guys, it's Carbell here once again, and welcome back to the last but one video in this series. So guys, we've been able to accomplish a lot. We've been able to do from the home page to the about section all the way to section offer where there's amazing hover effect, to the subscribe or newsletter section, all the way down to even the footer here where we have our footer nav with a contact. This one, everything is like on point and neat. Let me go back home here. The only thing left right now is the navigation. Let's look at the very main one. This is the navigation from the main one. Look at how it looks. It looks so simple. And then if we come there, it sticks at the top. It doesn't move at the top. And when you go to a mobile view, it becomes this nice responsive view, as you can see here. And then when you click this happens. And the best part is that I'm only going to use HTML and CSS. There's no JavaScript involved here. And like, that's very cool. So if you're an absolute beginner and you've never been introduced to JavaScript, you have nothing to worry about, because I'm going to explain this thoroughly. And without much ado guys, let's just jump right into the video. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to my style sheet here, and then okay, let's have, I think I'll go back to the very top. Yeah, somewhere around here. Let me make it look great. Control C, copy, and then Control V, and I'll change this here, right here, to, I'll call this one navigation. Okay, so let's go back to the HTML. There are some things that we should know about. Now, the trick we are going to be using here is what we call the checkbox hack. The trick we are going to be using here is what we call the checkbox hack. But before I explain anything about the checkbox hack, let's take a look at this here. Can I minimize it? Okay, so I'll bring this one. Yeah, somewhere here. Now there's a checkbox. This is a checkbox. And then let me just say label, and I'll call this one a label. Now this is HTML element. Now when I say this is a checkbox, it's an input. It means it can be checked as you are seeing here, or it can be what? Unchecked. And then this right here is a label. What the label does is that whenever you click on the label, it just checks the checkbox. Like I click and then it checks. If I unclick, it unchecks. It's the same as just clicking on this, and that's what we are going to be using to open and close our menu here. So this becomes the label. When I click on it, the checkbox checks somewhere, and then this comes in. And if I click here, it unchecks and this goes away. It's going to be very simple. We call it the checkbox hack, and that's what I'm going to let us get through for today. But first of all, let's start our navigation. So I gave it the class of navbar. So let me just go dot navbar. I want width of 100% as usual, and I want a height of 60 pixels. That's what I always almost use. And then I want display. I'll explain to you I'm doing the display flex. And then I want align items as usual, center, and justify content space between. I want them to be pushed to the maximum ends. Okay, I think I didn't spell the align well. Okay, so let me save this. And then okay, something is automatically even happening right now. So these are the various elements on the navigation. We have the logo, as you can see here. We have our checkbox. Let's look at the HTML. This is the logo, and this is the checkbox, and this is the label. So as you can see the label here, if I click on the label, the checkbox gets checked. And then the way I did it was, I just said label. I gave an ID to the input. That was menu checkbox. And then for the label, you have to specify 4. Like this thing here, it says 4. And then for what? Then you write the ID of the checkbox that you are looking for. So I said for menu checkbox. If I change this one to maybe any other name, let me delete the M and save it right now. Now if I should click here, nothing happens. It's not checking the checkbox, you see. But the moment I make it back to menu here, like this, and save it, and then I click, the checkbox gets checked. So that's it. And then we have our the navigation button. This button here, this is it. This is the HTML for it, but nothing is showing at the moment. I will get that one done soon. And then we have our nav list. All right, we call it nav list. They are about subscribing, whatever you are seeing here. So that's pretty much it, guys. But let's go into the in-depth styling, back to the CSS once again. And the next thing we have to do right now is I want to get background color of black, but I don't want it to be totally black. I want it to be a little bit transparent. So I'll drag it to somewhere 7.5. So yes, just use VS Code. It gets that one, the job done for you. And the next thing is I'm going to say box shadow, just to give it an appearance of it being on top, like on top of everything. You see that thing? Yeah, I know you see it. So I want 0 pixels on the X, 3 pixels on the Y axis, 5 pixels blur, and then I want black. So I just write 0, 0, 0, but I want an opacity of somewhere around 0.4. So this, and I'll save it. For now, I don't see nothing. Now, this is it. Before that, let me just add a padding. A padding of 0 pixels top and bottom, and then 40 pixels left and right. And let me save that up. So that's it. That's pretty much it right now. But let's look at something. If you look at the very main one, when I scroll, the nav bar does not move. It stays at where it is. It doesn't go anywhere. But here, once I scroll, it moves. That is because there's something we have to add to make it stick at the top. We call it position. I'll be having a full video about positioning in CSS, but for now, what I'm going to explain here is going to be enough for you to understand how to get this done. So position, I'll say fixed, okay, and then you specify at least 2 parameters. That's top of 0 and then left of 0. Now let me show you what that does right now. Okay, it's not actually even showing you. Let me just give one more thing. I'll give ZIndex of 10 and then save that. Very good. Now let me explain to you what just happened. Now whenever you say position is going to set an element. It's going to position the element on the website. Are you okay? Now we have between fixed, absolute, relative, sticky. Okay, fixed, absolute, relative, and what? Sticky, and then fixed. Yeah. So what fixed does is that it will fix it on the website, and no matter where you scroll to or what you do, it will be at that same particular place, and it will no longer move. All right, it will no longer move. So as of right now is what? Fixed. What if I change it to absolute? Let's see what happens. Absolute, and I save it. Now it will be at the top here. Absolute this one, but when I move, it's also going to move. All right, but for now, let's just have fixed. Yeah, later when I explain more in an in-depth video, you understand. But fixed, just get it fixed on the screen, the part of the screen that you want. Now I specify that I want top and left of what? 0, meaning the top, it should be at the top, 0 pixels at the top, and there should be 0 pixels at the left. So let's look at what happens if I say the top should be probably 10, let me just say 100 pixels, and save that. Now look at where it is right now. It has moved 100 pixels from the top. So even when I'm scrolling, it will still be at that same place, but it is 100 pixels from what? The top. But that's not what we want. Is that what we want? No, we don't want that. We want to be 0 pixels at the top, meaning just stay at the far top. And then the same thing will apply if I should just say left of probably 10 pixels right now. And then yeah, it has moved. As you can see, it has moved a little bit here, and it's very obvious. Okay guys, so let's continue. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about the logo. I gave it a class of .logo, and then I want to have a width of just 60 pixels. I don't want it to be very big. Yeah, just like this. It looks okay for now. And then the next thing I'm going to be having is I want to be having my menu button, my menu check, the label, the input itself, its particular input, the one we talked about. Now it has an ID of what? Menu check. I'm going to copy this. Copy. And the way you can select something with an ID is you use what we call the pound sign or the hash. Then you paste. Instead of, you see, if you give it a class, you use a dot to select it. But when it's an ID, you use the pound sign to select it. I'm just going to say display of none for now, and when I should save that, the label just the input just vanished. But for now I'll press control and then forward slash just to highlight, keep that one here because we need to see it for the meantime. All right, and the next thing I'm going to talk about is I should probably be styling my nav list for now. But before I do anything, guys, let's go straight to the bottom of the here and let's start writing our responsive codes. Now I'll explain to you what I'm doing here. So I call this one desktop because whatever code you are going to be seeing right here is just for only desktop. And this is how you go. We call this media queries. Media queries are like new set of instructions that when you bring on, okay, they're going to apply to the particular width that you have specified. For example, if I say you say at media screen and I want to have a max width of 768 pixels. Okay, like when you say, look at this, I said media screen and a max width of 78 pixels. So the moment it hits a maximum width of 768 pixels, this new set of instructions will kick in. Let me just say body, all right, and I say display of none, meaning the body should not display. What's this? It's gone. There is nothing here, guys. Are you seeing what I'm seeing here? There is, look at here, it appears, but the moment I start going downwards, there's nothing displaying. But if I should just pass that 768 pixels, now it is displaying. Guys, I get what I'm trying to say. So that's what the media queries does. There are a set of instructions that we can use to keep our this is what helps us to write responsive and then website that will look good on both desktop and then both mobile devices. So it's media width and a max width of 768. I don't think it's desktop, this is smartphones. It's going to be for the smartphones and tablets. So let me just save that, and of course we don't want the body to be transparent. I'll just delete this and save it, and everything comes back as you can already see. So what I'm going to do for the nav bar, I'm going to have my nav button. I will say nav btn. I want to say cursor of pointer. Whenever our mouse gets there, it should show us a pointer, like show that it's a link, and I'll add transition, which you'll see the effect very soon. Transition of 0.4 seconds and ZIndex of 10, meaning it should be at the very top. Okay, there's nothing showing, so this is what we're going to do. If you go to the nav button here, where is it? This is the label. Remember, we are in the same label here. This is the label, and we have this text, just ordinary text label inside here, and this is the lines in the nav button. Okay, let me have it here. So I'm going to say dot nav btn and then dot lines, and first of all I'm going to say width. I want a width of 45 pixels, and I want a height of 3 pixels, and I want a background color of white. That's FFF, and I save that. So you can automatically see it somewhere. If I should click on even that thing, you see the checkbox still checks. Yeah, that's the great part of this. And I'm going to say one more thing. I'm going to I can just have margin bottom of probably margin bottom of like let me just say 8 pixels. Let me see what happens. Okay, that's cool. So this is it. This is the nav button. If you click the checkbox, just get what? It gets checked. But that is not what I want to do right now. What I want to do right now is that whenever the 8 pixels applies for all the three, so this one gets margin bottom of 8 pixels, this also gets margin bottom of 8 pixels, and this also gets margin bottom of what? 8 pixels. But that's not what I want. I want the 8 pixels margin bottom should be for only the first top 2 here, so that the last one doesn't get what? A margin bottom of 8 pixels. And this I'm going to do. I'm going to just copy all of this for now. Control Z, sorry. So Control C, copy, and guys, pay attention. I'm going to say Control V, and I'm going to use a very nice CSS selector. I'm going to say this and I'll use this and I say not. Okay, when I use not, I means now I don't want anything that is the last child. Now what this does is that it says not last child, so I'm selecting everything but not the last child. So if I say, let me just show you something. If I say background color of red and save it, everything the first and second gets for background color of what, red, but the bottom one doesn't get, because I said you select everything but not the last child. Guys, this is one of the serious CSS selectors that we have. There are so many out there, but I think this one is something that you should just pay attention. Maybe for now it might be a little bit confusing, but later you understand what I'm talking about. So this is a very cool selector here. I'll copy this here, Control X, that's to cut it, and then Control V to paste it here. That way the margin bottom applies to only the top two, but it doesn't apply to the last one here. And that's pretty much it for the nav button as at now. But there is something we have to do. We have to do something amazing. When I click, realize that this one checks. Let me go back to the HTML and get rid of the label. It was just to make us understand that that was the label that we were seeing as at that time. But now we have our button there, so there is no need to see the label here. So this is our label now. As I'm clicking on it, this one gets checked. Alright, let's go back to the CSS and let's continue. Now, whenever I click here, this one gets checked. This input gets checked. The checkbox gets checked. The same thing as just clicking on it. But what we want to do is that whenever this one gets checked, we want this one to spin around. Look at it. When we click and it gets checked, it gets that spinning animation, and that's very cool. So let's create that animation just now. It takes just only a few lines of code, and we get that one done. Nothing to worry about. Serious mode activated. So let's go. This I'm going to say, pay attention, guys. This is the menu checkbox. Checkbox, right? You're going to add a pseudo class of checked. So when it is checked, this is how we add it. Instead of like hover or focus, this is a class called checked, and you can see it as of now it's checked. This is checked. All right. When we say it is checked, we want our nav button dot nav. We can start our nav btn. Let me just say display of none. Okay. Yeah, obviously. Let's save it. Very good, guys. Now let's pay attention. I use something that I know you've not seen. This thing is I don't know, is it Tilda or whatever the name, but this is also a selector, and we call this one the Sibling selector. Let's go to the HTML. Guys, please pay attention. It's not confusing. Let me quick one. So this is the input. As you can see, the input is this. This is the input. This particular line here is the what? Is the input. And the sibling, that means his brother. They are on the same line. His next brother is what? The label. That's the nav button that we have here. Okay, that's his immediate brother. So what we can use is that we can use the sibling selector to select the thing next to it, not its child, but what? Its brother. So we use what we call the what? The tilde here. This is the sibling. So if I say when it is checked, I want you to select the nav button and apply these new styles to them. So when it is checked, I want you to say that the nav button should disappear. So when I check it right now, it has disappeared. If I check it, it comes back. If I check it, it has disappeared. Or check it, it comes back. But is that what we want? No, that is not what we want. We want to apply better CSS. So I want to say transform, because I want you to do some magic. Transform. Where else my spelling go to? Transform. I want to say rotate. I want you to rotate in an angle of negative 180 degrees. It can be positive or negative, but that will show the direction in which it will rotate. Save that, and then let me try it and see. When I check it, it rotates. That was where the transition that we added here is playing the role, the nav button. So if I click on it right now, it rotates. It go back, rotate. And if on it, it rotates because this one checks this. So look at this happening here. Guys, this is cool. Very cool. But is that what we want? Let's look at the very main one. After that, now something happens. So let's look at how we can get that one to also get played down. So the same thing here. I'll copy this selector that we have. Is Control C and then Control V. Okay, but this time we want to go in select the lines, the individual lines with dots. lines. And now for the dot lines, we want to apply different styles to all the different particular lines that we have here. So for the first line, I'm going to have a child selector. The name is a child selector, another CSS selector. We call it the child selector. And this is how it goes. You give the first colon here, and then you say your nth child. Your nth child. Your nth child. And then you select a particular child. Okay, so I'm going to be using what we call the nth child right here, and as you can see, I said the nth child. The n means we don't know the particular child, so we determine the child by writing the number for here. So we say nth child of what? The first child, meaning this. Let me see what happens. If I say background color of red, let me save it. Now that's it. When it is checked, it gets the background color of what? Red. Uncheck, it becomes normal. Check red. Uncheck red. Check red. And guys, as you can see, it's just amazing. I really like writing CSS because it brings my imagination to power. I'll copy this one 3 times because for all the individual children. So one, whoa, what was that? I think something has happened. My language has switched. I cut that part off. So I just hold Alt, Shift, and down. That's 1, 2 for this one, and I'll change the individual children here. I'll make this one 2, and then I'll make this one 3. But for the second child, is the easiest one. I'll just have to say opacity. Opacity talks about how it appears. Opaque means light, like you can't see through it, right? So if I say opacity of 0, it means it's invisible. Opacity of 1 means it's visible. So let's look at it. Now you see it has vanished. It has vanished. It's back, vanished, back. But there is no transition on that thing here. I think I should add transition here. Transition of 0.4 seconds. I see it. Now that's it. Now that's it. Now that's it. Now that's it. Now let's apply the real styles here. I'll come here and just change it on to. I want it to be transform, and then I want to say translate. First of all, I want it to rotate first. Rotate in an angle of 45 degrees. 45 degrees, and then followed by I want to translate 7 pixels on the X and then 7 pixels on the Y. I'll explain something very soon, guys. Pay attention. And I save that. Now that's it. And just copy the same thing here. Control C, copy. And then for this one, I'm going to have negative 45 degrees for it to rotate the other way. And I'm going to have 9 pixels and negative 6 pixels. And I should save that. So that's it. It comes there, it comes here, it comes here, it comes. So someone will be asking, how did I get these figures? And please pay attention, there is no comma in between the 2 parameters of the transform. There is rotate followed by translate. There is no comma. If you bring a comma in there, it won't work. It used to worry me when I was a beginner. It won't work. You see, it's still dash. It didn't work. It used to confuse me a lot when I was learning CSS somewhere. I think a year or 2 ago. Look at it. So someone will ask, how did you come up with this? I've really played around. So you can just right click here and say inspect. Yeah. So this is the first line, second line. And then yeah, so that's pretty much it. So if I click here, you can see the CSS I have here. If I click on it, I can play around to find my exact. Let me just move it around. As I'm moving, you realize that it's also affecting what's on the screen here. And if I move this around, you can see it's also moving. So this is what I do. I just write 0 pixels here and there. I write 0 first, and I write 0. Then after that, I right click. Go back to my inspect, and when I come here, I take my time and then I play around until I get the particular one that will actually work. for me. So guys, that's something like it takes a little bit work, but it's not anything difficult. But for now, you can have mine. I'll make sure to play around with it. Control Z, Control Z. Save, and let's move on. Alright, so we are done with this for now. So what's next? What next is this thing that we have here. For now that we are done with this, I don't think we need this anymore. So I can just, should I hide it? Let's keep it for now. And let's go back to the very main big screen here, and let's get rid of this. Let's get rid of this. You realize that the nav button didn't appear here. That was because all this code you're writing here applies to only when you have a smaller screen. So on a smaller screen it will appear, but on a bigger screen, as you can see, there's nothing in here, and that's cool. All right. So the next thing I'm going back to the top again. Back to the top. Where was it? Somewhere around here. All right. Okay, so I have .nav bar for the nav bar, and then .nav list for the nav list. If you are getting confused where I got that name from, you can see this is our on other list. On other list, and I gave it a class of nav list, and that's where the name came from. And I want to say first display of flex to have it this way. You see, it's already displaying flex right now. And then I'll copy all of this again. Control C, copy. Control V, and then .nav link. Wondering where that one also came from? I have it here, Nav Link. All the anchor or the links have a class of Nav Link. And then I'll just come here. First thing is to just say display of inline block. Very important. And I want to say give it a color of white. So white is FFFF. And then give it text decoration. Text decoration of uppercase. Sorry. So give it a text transform. Of uppercase. And then padding of 20 pixels top and bottom, and 40 pixels left and right. And then for now you'll be seeing it. Let's go to the bigger screen. It looks better here because this is meant for the bigger screen. Alright. And before anything, let me just add transition because there will be some animation going here. Transition of 0.4 seconds. Copy everything, Control C, come here, Control V if I should have it over, or hold Alt Shift down if I should have it focused. I want to apply the same style, so I want to say just give it a background color of orange. And let's see, let me go to the bigger screen right now. So this is it. Simple, we are done. Look at the very main one. This is it, we are done. So easy. This one, so easy. You're looking exactly the same. Now let's fix it for the smaller screen. Look at this one here. On the smaller screen, this is how it looks. Let's look at how we can get this done quickly and easily. It's actually quite simple. Now let's pay attention. And please stay with me. It's not difficult. We'll get through it in no time. I'm going to run all the way back my responsive. So in here, once again, I'm going to go down here and I'm going to call my nav list with .nav bar .nav list. I have it here. And look at the styles I'm going to apply here. I'm going to say width of 100% as usual. And I'm going to say height of also 100 viewport height. Now VH means viewport height. This is the whole of my screen. From the left to the right is the viewport width. And from the top to the bottom is the viewport height. I want the width to be 100%, that's the whole screen. And the height should also be 100% of your screen. So no matter the screen that you have, my nav bar will take the whole height of and the whole width of that screen. I hope that one makes sense, guys. Let's continue. But let me show you that it's actually working. But I'll say background background color of orange, and then yeah, as you can see, something is happening there. You see what I'm talking about right now. Right now, I'll explain to you in a jiffy. But first, let's say it already has display of what flex from the top, all from the top. But so we can just say, we want to say align. Let me just say position of also fixed, and then we want it to have top of 0, left of 0, and then ZIndex of 9. And let me save that. Very good. So it's looking very some way right now. It's looking very some way. Now what happened? Let me just comment all this out and just do it control this to comment everything out. Now as you can see right now, this thing right now is still somewhere on the navigation bar, and that is the reason why you see it's supposed to be 100% of the weight, but because it can be found on the nav bar, which we have here, this nav bar, it can be found on the nav bar. It is, and because we set align center for this, it is centered on the nav bar too, and that's why it looks this ugly. But by setting anything to position, fixed, absolute, or relative, you are taking it out of the original document flow, so it's going to pop out of that nav bar and just come now on the screen. So now I've centered it on the screen, so it's out of the nav bar right now. But the reason why it's looking this ugly is because, let me just apply one line. I'll just say align center. You can see that happening. Justify content also center, and then it's there. Now automatically when you set any item to flex means that it should be this way. It should be like arranged side by side, but automatically it has. Now when we set it to display flex or grid, it's going to be display flex allows us to position stuff two-dimensionally. That means horizontally and vertically. But automatically when you say flex, the first instruction that the computer receives is to arrange it in an horizontal manner. But here it wants to be what, vertical. And that was the reason why on a bigger screen like here, you can see it was automatically arranged in this horizontal manner. But let's look at what we do when we say flex direction. That's what you call it, column, and save it. Now it's arranged in a columnar order. So flex can allow us to arrange it. You can place some here, some there, some here, whatever how you want it. But this is how the flex. This is one of the things you should know. I hope this is a little thing different. Guys, if you're learning anything new or you're getting any value from this video, please do want to smash that like button, because it helps the algorithm, it helps me, and motivates me to make more amazing and better tutorials in the coming days and coming future. Let's get back into the video once again. So yeah, this is it. It looks almost as a completed one here, but you can actually style these links here to make it look much better, and that is what we are going to do right now. Before editing, let me just add transition of 0.4 seconds, because we are going to animate it one way or the other. And then yeah, okay, so I'm going to say, should I type or copy? I think I'll copy right now because I feel a little bit lazy. But my typing is being faster than my copy. Next time I'll type. And then .nav link. Alright, so for the nav link, I want to say first of all, it already has display of inline block and all from the very previous one that we did at the top. So I'll just say I want the color to be black. So that's 000, and then I want padding. I want padding of the padding is also the same from the one at the top, but I want to have it a background color of white. That's FFF, and then I want to have I think text align center. That's that one even. Alright, so this is it. It looks a little bit ugly. I'll just say margin margin bottom of probably 10 pixels. Save that. I will give it. Now look, some of them look wider than the others, and I don't want that to happen. We don't want that. Look at the very main one here. Everything looks nice and intact, and that's what we want this one to be. So how you can do this? I'm going to set a width of 200 pixels here. That way they all have the same equal width, and then like that's far better. It looks much better. But look at the curve, the sharp edges. We don't want that. So I'll just say border radius of border radius of 5 pixels, and then I'll just add a transition. Okay, and let's save that, and then that looks pretty much cool. But when we hover on this, Control C, Control V, and then if I say hover, or shift down, copy that, and change this to focus. I want the color to be white, that's FFF, and then background color of also black, so that's 000. That's to have it inverse. So there's it. Is that how the main one looks? Yeah, that's pretty much it here. I think this one, it looks a little bit different, and that will probably be with the font size. Let's make the font size a little bit bolder. So font size of 25 pixels. I think that'll be better. I think that will do the trick. 25 pixels, and yeah, that's it. So it makes it look exactly. But now when I click, only then this one is moving. The whole thing here doesn't move. And why is that so? Let's look at how we can make that one also possible. So do you remember how we got this thing to be moving when we click on when the nav button is, when the checkbox was checked? We use what we call the checkbox hack, and we said whenever the checkbox is checked, we want the nav button to rotate and do all the fancy stuff that you are seeing here. Well guys, the same thing here. Whenever the checkbox is checked, let me copy that one here. Control C and paste it here. Let's go back to the HTML. Whenever the checkbox is checked, so there's the nav. There's the nav list. So there's the checkbox. It has two siblings. There's one sibling, the label, and the other sibling is the nav list that we have here nicely. So whenever the checkbox is checked, you can select the nav list and animate it. All right. So when it's checked, you press for the sibling selector, that's this, and then you can find it by on the left side of the one of your one on the alphanumeric keypad. And then I'll just say I want to, when the checkbox is checked, the nav list, that's its sibling, should move. It should transform. Now when the checkbox is checked, I want the nav list to move. Okay, so I have transform right here, and I'm going to say something new. It's called translate. Now translate just gives us X and Y axis, right? But translate 3D, there's it here. Translate 3D allows us to put three parameters. So X, Y, and then Z, the Z axis. Okay. Someone is like, what is Z axis doing here? I'm like, calm down, I'll explain. Okay. So let me show you. Let me make this one 100% and let's see what happens. 100%, and let me save it. Good. Now, guys, I seen something. The moment I checked it, it has moved to the left. That's X axis. It has moved to the X by what? 100%, and it has disappeared for us. Okay. Very good. Now let me change this one to the Y axis and show you what happens. Then put 0 here and just type 10% and save it. Now when I click, it goes down. That's the Y. If you want to move upwards, you can just say -100, and it will do exactly that. It goes up. So that's sometimes you see all those wonderful things. It's just some simple line of code doing all those amazing stuff. Just some simple lines of code doing all that amazing stuff. Yeah, but that's not what obviously we want. All right, let me set all of this back to 0, and for the Z axis shows stack. When I say stack, I mean what is on top of which one. Imagine you have a table and you arrange books on it. There will be automatically some books on top of the other, all right? And that's what ZIndex does. So as you can see my CSS somewhere around here, I have ZIndex of 9. I hash this one out and save it. You realize that this is the nav list. Okay, I don't want the nav list. I want the nav button. I gave it a ZIndex of 10. Let me hash it. Realize that it has vanished. It's no longer here. Now let me bring it back. You see it here. It's showing which is on top of which. Because this nav list here has a ZIndex of something around 9. And this one has 10. The 10 will appear on top of the 9, and that's what the anything Z means. All right. So, but before you can use ZIndex, you have to make sure the thing that you are applying the ZIndex to has position set to it. So the position can be set to either relative, fixed, absolute, or sticky for it to work. If not, it's not going to work. So that's how come this one for the nav button I have position of position. It's not even here. Whatever it is. All right. I think it's somewhere at the top of, yeah. So that's pretty much it, guys. But wait, that's not what we want. We want, at the beginning, we don't want this to be showing. So I'll go back, nav list here. I'll copy all of this, Control C, and then Control V. But it's the X we are aiming at, because that was all we had. So I want it to be 100%. So at the beginning, it is at 100%. There's no style here. Let me hash this one out so that there's nothing here. So at the beginning, it's already in there, okay? But whenever I check it, whenever I check the checkbox, I want it to move. I want it to move into view. All right. So now it has what 0. 0 means it should be here. 100 means move to the left. So this is it. So the beginning is here. But the moment I click, it will come. Then it goes. When I click, it comes, it goes. And I click, it comes, it goes. Just look at it. I can even play so fast, so responsive. Look at it. If I click on this, yeah, to come. That's it. And that's the best part of all this thing here. But we don't want to be seeing this tiny thing here. I think I wrote some line of code for it. Let me just say, I'll just come to the top here and just say dot hashtag menu checkbox. Is that the name? Yeah. I'll say display to none and save it. So it doesn't appear anywhere here. Go to the bigger screen. It's still here. Okay. And I don't think it should be in a responsive code. It should be in all for all of them. So Control X and run back to the top where the code here applies to anything. I think I already have it here. Yeah, display of none. Bigger screen, you don't see it here. You have a nice here. Look at our navigation. Looking so the shadow under it, making it look so delicious and so fantabulous. Where will you get this from? Only on my channel. So consider subscribing, because there is more and more and more and more coming. Guys, thank you so much for sticking to the very end of this video and for being with me throughout this whole series. I know it has been long and most of us have actually given up on the way, but those who have stuck to the end, I hope you have learned some valuable skills to help you in this journey. And there are more. There's a next series coming out just after this series has ended, and I hope to catch you in that series as well. Make sure to subscribe, give it a like, thumbs up to this video, and please share it to your friends who are also interested in learning anything about web design and web development all together. And with that, what I do, guys, I'm going to catch you in the very next video.